Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Hey,
Check,
it looks
check.
like sound's
Mic
actually going
check,
through.
check.
So folks in chat, I had to last time I was streaming, I had to mess with like the mixer on my computer, and so the volume levels are probably all off kilter. If somebody is either too loud or too quiet, let me know, and I can adjust them very easily, and we'll be good. But other than that, we are back with another episode of the General's Tent, and today we have a special guest with us. Well, no, we just have a guest with us. Sorry. We
I'm not
have
special because Twitter only allows 140 characters.
yeah. Oh, okay. That's the only reason you weren't special. So other than that, you're special in every other case, though. That was pretty funny though. Before I was about to just dive right into the outline, but I would be robbing Mokog of his wonderful opportunity here. You gonna give us an intro?
Well, I declare, I guess I just might now, shouldn't I? All right, let's get this. I can't get a catchphrase, but by golly, I will BS an intro.
Okay.
All right. From the feral root woods of the elven homeland, through the twisting arboreal maze of that crazy wild infested forest, today we bring you Ossuary, Function, and Mokog on tonight's General's Tent.
We totally need kapow.
I don't have a soundboard.
We totally need a little soundboard for that. That'd be pretty amazing. But otherwise, that was very nice. I enjoy
Ross
it.
and I dance, and then we got Function being the stone cold. Is like, yeah, I'm putting up their nonsense. I see what's going on here.
But no,
I'm
that
not
was
taking
quite
part
good.
in this. No, you guys are silly.
There you go. All right. So on today's show, I'll do the outline, and we will have our guest Oshuari introduce himself, and we'll start going. What do we got here for the intro or for the outline? We're gonna be talking about our adventures, a little small talk, what we've been up to last week. Although I don't think we have a whole lot. Maybe there's a couple things in there that we can come up with as we're going. We have our weekly giveaway, which I at least know one or two of the things we're giving away. Once again, this week we didn't figure out ahead of time what we're giving away, so it'll have to be on the fly. Although we do have one very large giveaway, I would say, something a little extra special that I wanted to do. What else we got? We got the official news. We have some updates on the HexTCG page, and there was a pretty sweet arena intro video with some taunting from Hogarth and stuff, and I thought that was pretty sweet. Mokog liked it, and we're gonna talk about that on the show today. Also in HexTech or in community news, we have the HexTech tournament. It was last weekend, and Mokog posted some. He finally got a video uploaded to YouTube, so I'm only like 5 months behind him now, or something ridiculous like that. One of these days we'll get more stuff on my end. But Mokog put together a video, and it was pretty good. I liked what he had to say, and we'll talk about that. What else we got? We got our chat checkup, our question of the week, and Mokog will remind me when we are going to actually ask the question, so people can prepare their responses this time. I think that worked well last week. Our card of the week, which I just now realized I need to upload the picture onto my computer, which we'll do as people are bantering. And finally, what do we have? We have we're going to talk about our weekly topic, which I guess we will not give away preemptively like I accidentally do very often. But in that,
He's learning, Oz. He's learning.
So there was
preparation on this show.
now that I'm done rambling for 5 minutes about basically nothing, which
Wait,
may
we're
or may not
Seinfeld
have.
now? I didn't
Yeah.
know we're the Hex version of Seinfeld.
I will let Ossuary introduce himself. How would you like to be known to the Hex community, Ossuary? What are your your highlights of your person?
I'm pretty sure my highlights are that my name is Ossuary, and I play Hex. There's not really much else to say than that. I hang out on Twitch with you guys all the time. I love to spend way more times on the forum than I should, especially since, I have a job and everything. But, I am deeply, deeply invested in this game. I love this game, and I spend every minute that I possibly can being involved in it. So,
You how did you find out about Hex? What was your initial? I know you were a Kickstarter, right?
I
So,
was, yes. I first saw the campaign because of that Penny Arcade comic
okay.
where
Me
they
too.
called that. Yeah, me too. Where they called Corey Jones a monster and said he had to be stopped. It was awesome. I saw that. I said, "Wow, that looks pretty cool," and then I immediately forgot about it because I was busy at the time dealing with a broken car that broke down twice.
Ouch.
Because of that, I almost missed the Kickstarter entirely, but I did manage to scrape up enough money in the last day to join as a King backer.
Better late than
So
never.
I
Yeah.
don't have any of the fancy bells and whistles, but I did manage to get in on the ground floor, and I'm really, really glad about that. And
Yeah.
there's the link from Mokog. In case anybody has never seen that comic, it is hilarious.
Yeah, Penny
It is
Arcade's awesome.
True and accurate.
totally true.
Yep.
It is completely accurate.
And you mentioned that you spend an awful lot of time on the forums, which I am well aware of because I spend an awful lot of time on the forums. But at least you and I are now putting some of that time to at least somewhat productive use.
In theory,
In
yes.
theory, yeah.
In theory.
But yeah, Mokog, I got a haircut. See, no more mohawk.
Why? You
Uh,
totally just destroyed your punk cred.
No, I mean, well,
We
I don't know.
needed that to
That's-
tap
oh.
into the
I'll
our
have
other
to
lower demographics.
lower
tracked this
demographic.
shit,
How
damn
dare
it.
you? How dare you? I'll have to start wearing like my punk jackets and stuff on stream, and that way it can vouch for that. Or I'll have to the sirens that are going. They'll actually have to arrest me for once, and I'll be like, yeah, he was up to something. But no, hopefully that will never happen.
Well, your haircut, it looks good. I see it on the screen. It works well with your glasses. It's this nice, clean trim thing.
Yeah, I was just getting too shaggy.
I get it, and especially with the stuff you're working on your business side, I get
Yeah.
it. They don't like, opening stores with hippies,
No,
unless you're in Colorado. But that's a different story.
you can't be getting hair into food. That's generally a bad thing. So.
What, you don't
yeah.
you don't want to wear a hairnet? Are you saying hairnets aren't for
Oh,
guys?
they're totally
hairnets
awesome.
are sexy, man.
I don't know about that. But no, back on the topic. This is a HexTCG show, and good times. So what were we going to start with? We were going to start with what we've been up to lately, and all three of us can chime in on this. I know I was playing over the weekend in the Hex tournament, which I did not perform so well in. I brought a Gore Master deck, which I enjoy playing, and I just wanted to bring a deck that I enjoyed playing, and I did. I had fun. So, we did things. How about you guys? What have you been doing in the Hex world lately?
Go ahead,
Mouse,
Mokog.
what have you been? Oh, you want me to go? All right. So, I have been thoroughly blessed that they have left the test server open, and I have just been going into the Frost Ring and just taking different decks in there to see what is kind of fun. And I've said it before, but I like to do what I call naked runs through the Frost Ring because I want to be very surprised by a lot of the actual equipment when I started getting into there. Because I know, like, when I was talking with Neo on the subject, Neo doesn't want to dive too deep into the Frost Ring until it's open for good reasons, because he doesn't want to get attached to anything that drops.
Yeah.
My side of that is if I don't ever use anything that drops, I can't really get attached to it. And so I'm setting up a standard for myself. My standard is if I can have fun and I think I see fun games happen while not wearing equipment, then that's a deck that I want to show off the streams.
Okay.
If I get to a deck that just gets its face pounded in, non-comedically pounded, that's a different story. That might be fun for
Yeah. Well,
twisted reasons.
I've been getting comedically pounded by the AI in a couple of games. It's like, wow, you're good at this game function.
Oh yeah, like small story, won't take too long. So one of the decks I like to play during set one the most is I liked playing the Luxel control deck. The Blood Diamond variant. It was just the right speed that it could take care of pretty much anything in the tournament types. Well, what I'm finding is that its early game is just a turn and a half too slow for a good chunk of the AI champions in the Frostring Arena, and by the time that I could actually set down consistently an Immortal Lixel, I am dying, and I had the most terrible 3-and-outs I've ever experienced in the Frost Ring with
That's rough.
something that used to go 2-2, 3-1, and sometimes 4-0 in tournaments.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel like a scrub, and then I stopped playing that deck for a while.
Yeah, the arena is fast. Some of those champions are brutal. Even in the first tier, some of them move way more quickly than you expect them to, and it can really take you by surprise if you're not coming in with a really good deck to start with.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. Is like you were saying, even that first tier of champions, like before that first tier of champions was kind of boring. That first week, you're like, all right, we'll just do the 15 damage over the course of a couple turns and move on to the next one. But now, like, they at least pose some sort of challenge. I expect that if you went in with just like a couple packs worth of cards in a starter deck, you might have some trouble with that, like without having an optimized deck and everything, and it might be fun. I mean, you're still probably gonna be able to beat it.
I would say you'd still be able to beat the first tier even with a starter deck, but it would be a challenge, and you wouldn't be guaranteed to do the first 5 matches with no losses.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
You can go in and you can beat the boss, and you can get a couple of pieces of equipment or cards, and repeat that process to build up. But you're really not going to get much farther than that. I don't realistically see someone going 10 wins with just a starter deck.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go through the first tier a couple of times and improve your deck.
But I think that's good. Like it gives you something to build on, especially for those newer players where if they're brand new to the game, like it gives them more playtime hours out of it. It's more material for them to work with. And also, I think on the same note is like they might struggle a little bit, but at least with the exception of the bosses, at least the regular matches, if you lose, it just moves you on to the next one. So they're kind of not stuck completely against decks that would just give them a lot of trouble.
I don't know if I'm the only one who might have thought.
What?
I don't know if I'm the only one who might have thought this, but I totally I'm like, oh, the starters may not get through the first 10 wins, huh? Gauntlet thrown. Let's see if we can rock this.
Yeah.
I'm taking the orc starter. I'm going to gore feast all the way through for the win, and it's going to be
your single copy.
Actually, a pretty good deck.
Yeah, no, it's not bad.
The orc starter is actually pretty fast.
Yeah, that would be the one that could probably do it. Then the other part of me goes, and then we'll try it with the Shin Hair deck and pray. We'll do a lot of prayer for that one.
Was it Mukau was saying I need to check my mail? No, it's just a bunch of stuff that I sold on the auction house and prizes I got that I haven't looked at recently. But actually, speaking of mail and other stuff like that, we never talked about our giveaway. Although we also haven't. Well, we'll talk about our giveaway in a second. What have you been up to while playing Hex in the last week or two, Os?
Well, unfortunately, I was not able to participate in the Brigadon tournament. I was too busy this weekend. But I've been spending a lot of time kind of wrapping my head around the whole bug forums thing. You know, people have probably seen on the test server bug report function, and I have started jumping in and editing the thread, kind of organizing things. It's still a work in progress, but we're kind of getting our feet wet and getting a feel for how that's going to work. When the next patch comes out and the arena is live, whenever that is, you know, March 47th, whatever. We're gonna move those changes into the regular beta bug forms as well, and start you know, some groundskeeping in that form as well, and kind of do that. So I've been spending a lot of time on that. I did have some time to play this week on the test server. I was very glad about that because it's been a while since I've had a chance to play. So I've been having a lot of fun. People may have heard me on Twitch today if they were in channel with me. I've been having a lot of fun with a new Jankbot deck that I built. That is just stupid janky fun. What I did was I took the Azure Fate Sorceress mill deck and combined it with a Jankbot deck and a card draw deck. So you've got it's Sapphire and Wild, all the card draw effects, all the Wild and Sapphire, the Mentors and the Oracle Songs and Zodiac Divination and all that. I've got Azure Fates and Arborian Root Fathers and Dementia Daisies, and it's just it's just a ridiculous mill deck, but it keeps working and it's hilarious. I actually managed today to go 20-0 on the arena with this deck, and in the final match,
Nice.
I actually milled out Zarlox the Millboard, which is hilarious.
Yeah, Zarlox is tough too. He's nasty.
The Millman.
It's crazy, and it's just hilarious because what actually ended up happening is I mimicked my jank bot a couple of times. So I had 3 on the board, and I swung at him, and I hit 2 more jank bots in my deck. So I ended up with 5 jank bots on the board.
Nice.
And the jank bots hit all of his brood eggs, and because it puts them directly into play, it never enters your hand, and it never enters your graveyard. So he didn't get the Tarantula spiders.
Nice.
I just ended up with these useless artifacts sitting on my board that did nothing but didn't harm me, and it was hilarious.
That's amazing. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
It was a lot of fun. So I had a great time playing, and I'm thinking of making a modified version of this for the VIP tournament because it's a tiny bit slow to start, but since Gore Feast is kind of falling out of favor, I feel like now might be the time to start with a little bit of a slower deck. But once it gets going, it is really, really hard to stop it.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of people playing Jankbot based decks in the tournament over the weekend, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. And Mokog, where are you? I'm trying to challenge you in a game, and you're not in the game.
That is because I was currently logged into the test server. I am now here.
Okay. What was I gonna say? All right. So Mokog and I we'll play using last week's decks. We didn't have a chance to build new ones this week. So we're gonna play the what are they? The Fierce Warlord decks again. Assuming you saw.
Yes, the Warlord deck.
And I'll probably get my face smashed in again because I think your deck ended up being better than mine was.
Hey, I probably also drew really well.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's all our news for the week. Catching up on what we've been up to. I think there was something I was going to say about what Os was saying, and it triggered a thought, and I am being a scatterbrain right now, and I can't remember what it was that I was going to give my 2 cents about. So I guess we'll go back to the giveaways. So we'll be doing 2 draft codes. Those will be our regular giveaways, like we usually do, and we're going to do the Crack-A-Pack, so that's 3. The 4th and somewhat bigger giveaway is I'm going to be giving away the deck list, which I wrote about on the HexTex, or not, I keep saying HexTex one because it's on the show notes, on the 5 Shard site last week. So it's the budget beatdown deck that I did on Goremaster. I'm going to give away that entire deck. If you want to see the deck, you can go over to 5shards.com and read my article, which I posted on there. And it's a Goremaster and Gastrol deck, and I have a lot of fun with it, and it's also quite good in Arena. And that's kind of the main reason I wanted to do something a little bit special, is I wanted to give away, like, an Arena, a deck that somebody could take into the Arena if they're a new player. So hopefully whoever wins it isn't somebody who already has a huge collection and can actually use the deck and everything. But yeah, I've been using that deck a lot in the PvE server, and it's been a lot of fun. So those are, 4 giveaways we got? So we'll be doing those. What do we want our giveaway code to be this week?
How about Goremaster? It makes sense. I mean, if our big one is if we're giving away a Goremaster deck.
Alrighty. So also I have I got our card of the week loaded onto the picture and everything. I just haven't put it into XSplit because it would give it away as soon as I did, since you can't kind of turn it on, turn it off real quick like that. Alright, so we'll figure out this for the exclamation mark. Don't enter the giveaway quite yet because
Gotta get it all set
I
up.
gotta get it all set up. So there's that, and then we need this. Okay. All right, there we go. So that should be live, and that should be working just fine. Let me know, folks. somebody try to enter, and then we'll make sure it works. We'll be all good. In the meantime, we'll start playing our game. And what was our next topic for today? We already talked about what we've been up to. We talked about the giveaway. Now we're going to be talking about arena releases in March. Oh, I know what I was going to say real quick before we moved on. Did either of you guys get to play in any of the Primal Sealed events?
I did.
What about you, Austin?
Get a chance.
You missed out. Those were so much fun. Like, I don't think Primal Draft, like, they've been firing that off as an on-demand queue on the test server, and they even said, like, this is never going to make it to live. It's just something on the server to maybe make it more attractive for folks to play on here, and it's just something fun to do as a one-time thing. And it's just kind of because, like, as draft, like, the packs with commons and uncommons, they're meant to be, like, the commons and uncommons are mainly there to make draft a fun format. And when you're only drafting rares and legendaries, you have, like, all these decks where they cost, like, where most of the troops are, like, 4 and 5 and nothing else kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it leads to some wackiness. But yeah, the Primal Sealed, though, was a lot of fun. And it was, like, 2 set 2 Primal packs and then 4 set 2 regular packs. And
Yep.
oh, yeah, I really enjoyed playing in those.
It was so snazzy. I enjoyed every one of them.
So some of them had prizes. The one I went 4-0 in one of them, and it was the one that had no prizes for your performance. Go figure. But it was still a lot of fun, and really that's all I cared about. So, good times. And it looks like the giveaway is working just fine. So everybody is joining. Thank you for doing so, and it is all going as planned. But yeah, the Primal Seal was pretty cool. You have anything to say about that, Mokog? You said you were able to play in one of them.
It's kind of crazy when you go for the Primal Draft side, just because you see so many good cards, and you just get that opposite experience of what you normally get during the draft, just because you're used to seeing certain types of cards come up, and then all of a sudden they're not coming up. It's something extremely different. You're like, oh, I should be able to find these. Instead, you're getting, just powerful rares coming in. You're like, well, I used to joke that this might be a monsoon. That's probably an actual monsoon now.
Yep. Okay, so real quick before we start going on to other stuff, because I think this is at least somewhat of an interesting topic, and also you're gonna you're in for some trouble here, Mokog. But what was I gonna say? On the Primal Sealed, so if that, because I had a lot of fun, I think it actually worked pretty well. If they did that as like a once a month or once every other month event, just something wacky out there for people who enjoyed doing it, would you guys be interested in playing that? And if you were interested in playing an event like that, I almost misplayed there. What was I going to say? How would you present it as far as entry fee and stuff goes? Because I think having primals as the actual entry might be awkward, right? Because not everybody has them. They're a little bit expensive and they're hard to come by. And would you actually keep what you opened, or would it just be like the cards you open, you don't get to keep those, but it still has prizes kind of thing?
If I was going to execute it myself personally, what I would actually do is something a little different. I would actually turn it into live events for those. So a good, for instance, would be like Gen Con, I think, would be a really good live event to do that.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
So the thing is that you buy your ticket at Gen Con to go into. It's a limited thing. You run it on the test server tournament. And the idea is that you're using your live account, because we know that they have the ability to take what happens on the test server and they can copy new stuff over. And the realm of what actually happens during Gen Con is much smaller than like if they try to do it entirely live. So if you keep it for live events, you're like, oh, you joined a $15 tournament. Well, what's the point of doing a $15 draft when I could do a $7 draft? It's Primal Draft. and I think that right there just does it.
That'd be kind of fun, like keeping it something as live events, and especially where it's like, like Gen Con, where it's a multi-day event. If somebody's just not interested in it, it could just be one point in the event. It only takes place once, and the rest is still like drafts or whatever else is going on, and it still would be a lot of fun. Do you have any ways you think you'd make that work, Ossuary?
Well, that does sound like a fun idea, but the concern I would always have with something like this is that there's already a bit of a feeling in some parts of the community that, how do you put this? I don't think this is true personally, but this is something that comes up on the forums again and again.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about the elitists
Yeah,
in the
sure.
community, and a primal draft or sealed in particular would really, really be sort of a rich man's game.
Yeah.
Because of all those packs that the free drafters have access to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the same thing with the Gen Con. People were really upset when they gave in-game rewards out to people who showed up at Gen Con. And like I said, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I love the idea of in-person prizes and stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. And we've seen Cryptozoic kind of scale back on that a little bit and shift the focus so that the only thing you can't get is the sleeve.
Yeah.
Like, and those are non-transferable anyway, so that's really just a I was there kind of thing. So my fear with something like an in-person primal draft or even a 4-pay primal draft is that people are going to feel slighted if they can't participate.
Yeah, I think
So-
that's why I was saying, like, if they did it, say they did it on the servers, right? You log in today, I could play drafts if I wanted, or instead, today's a special day, they're doing primal sealed events. Like the primal drafts, I don't think really worked too well, but the primal sealed, where it was 6-packs, worked pretty well. And you wouldn't have to use primals to enter. Maybe it would just be like, I don't know, like a 500 platinum entry fee. You're not keeping any of the cards you opened. You're not providing any packs outside. You're only doing the entry fee, and then the prizes are just packs, like it would be for any daily event, like they currently have.
Yeah, well, that's what I was driving at is the only way I think you could do something like that and have it be fair and not have people be upset is if it's phantom draft.
Yeah.
Or phantom sealed. So you just pay the entrance fee. You get to play with the primal pack for fun, but you don't keep any of those cards. All you win is packs at the end.
I think that definitely might be a pretty decent, I'd say a little bit of a compromise between. One of the things I don't think that Hex should ever attempt to really give up is that the incentive to go for live events, because to be honest, it is so powerful. I mean, absolutely powerful to drive players into a live event, whether it's for a digital game or a physical TCG. The camaraderie that comes together, the conventions that are done, and I'll bring up an example that's non-game related. There's this thing called VidCon for YouTube people. That right there shouldn't necessarily have to exist, because in an ideal world, they can all get together on another program like Skype, and they can see each other together, and they can all host things going at the same time. They can do podcasts and stuff together. But it doesn't replace the person-to-person bonds that are there. And so when Hex drives physical live events, it is for us, the players who are there, and it is a reward for us continuing to build our face-to-face community. I understand that comes off as elitist in some cases, but that has always been a part of TCGs, and you can only mollify some of that because people who are willing to spend the resources to build communities and face-to-face relationships are always going to be of a different tier, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, because, so for instance, I feel terrible that I was not able to actually physically step foot into the convention last year. Yeah, I mean,
you drove right past it.
Function got the brunt end of it, but I complained and complained and complained. I saw everything going on Twitter. Like, my envy was huge when it came to that. And no matter what, even if you could bring every person in the United States together for the convention, there's people in Australia who can't make it.
Yeah.
There's people always around the world who can't make these events. So all of a sudden, then the U.S. is elitist. You can always make those claims, but it is extremely unfair to gimp the community because someone feels left out.
Yeah, I think like leaving people out isn't really the greatest reason to not do something, kind of thing, because you're always going to leave somebody out, like you said. I think ultimately it's like the game is still in its like very early stage. Eventually there's going to be plenty of room to hold lots more live events and in different regions and stuff, and just because you're not seeing them now doesn't mean that there's not potential for them in the future. And they'll be able to roll out more and more of these exclusive things. And I think, at least for me, exclusive things are really cool. They add something that's exciting to go to an event and get. And if they're having these events like that are accessible and regular and all over the place, even if there's some exclusive stuff that I wasn't able to get, or even a lot of exclusive stuff I wasn't able to get, I'd be okay with it, because I would know, well, I wasn't able to get this, but I was able to get that. And there's some people that want everything, but hey, you can't have everything. So,
Right.
oh well.
Well, and it's one of the other things. I mean, we are still extremely early into development, like we were saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, think of when other games hit their first year, their very first big events. That gamer swag is barely ever available anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen anywhere else.
Yeah. It's. I think it's totally fine. Anyhow, but I think, I mean, unless we have any more sense to put in on this one, I think we've covered most of it. I feel like I'm in pretty good shape this game here in Mokog. I'm
Yeah,
actually going to finally get a win in this matchup, maybe.
Unless, of course, I happen to pull my my wipe the board card.
What, you got, like
for
a
the
heat wave?
win.
Yeah, I really
Actually-
would lose everything because you had that crackling rot there too. Yeah, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a heat wave.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, unfortunately you did. Oh, I have kitties. Oh, where's my kitties?
All of the critters.
Yeah, we're there. They're not hanging out with me. Oh. But going back on to things, for anybody who's just tuning in right now, as far as giveaways that we're doing today, we got two separate draft codes we're going to be giving away. We have the Crack a Pack, as we usually do, and also I'm going to be giving away the Goremaster Gas Troll deck, which I wrote about on 5 Shards last week. But moving on into the show, we were just talking a little bit about the sealed primal and draft primal events that were taking place on the test server last week, which were a lot of fun to participate in. It was cool that they put those on there because folks were wondering if they would ever, if anything would ever materialize out of that, and it was fun to see it. And those primal drafts, I think people, as they were playing them, quickly realized, hey, maybe this. Now I realize why this wasn't the greatest idea, kind of thing, where it seems fun on the surface, but just doesn't work quite as well as you want it to. Anyhow,
it's definitely one of those. It's a great diversion.
yeah,
But it would be terrible mainstay.
yeah, it's something fun every once in a while. But here we go. So what were you talking about on the official page for last Friday's update? We had the Frost Ring coming this March. I'll go ahead and post the link in chat here. So there's last week's Hex update from Friday, and they were just talking, that this month we will hopefully, well, not hopefully, in this, and I almost feel bad because, in some cases the track record hasn't been that great. I guess is probably the nicest way to put it. But in this case, the announcement is saying this month we're going to see Arena coming in March, and I think that seems pretty feasible. On the test server that we've been playing with over the last couple of weeks, things have been coming together pretty quickly, and in cases where, yeah, it's been a process, but I mean, like, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've seen, a lot of progress in that process.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
We've seen the AI get dramatically better. We've seen, a lot of the champion stuff get tuned more appropriately, so they all have passive powers, or the charges powers were working better, and we've just seen a lot of improvement. There are still a few things which are missing, perhaps. And out of those missing things, I think the one thing that I'm most looking forward to is chests, and I think that's intentionally missing just so that it can be something special for everybody to enjoy.
Well, and if you remember, one of the first people to get into the arena when they unveiled it was, if I remember correctly, it was Alucard was one of the first. And one of the first things that he decided he wanted to go do was go take a look on the I guess you could call it it's the test server that is specifically for in-house, is what they had the streamers on, correct?
No, it was the same. It was the same one that had just been unlocked for us
Okay,
earlier
well,
basement.
in the unlocked version, you had the ability to actually open the chests. Not all the animations and the like were there, but you could actually start seeing some of the loot.
Yeah, that
And they
wasn't
were
supposed
like,
to be
"Oh,
there.
that's not supposed to happen." But so what we know is that the functionality is there. It's just not unlocked for the current test server.
Yeah, and it hadn't been polished all the way, so they they want it to be something special that everybody gets to open on their account, and so when that specialness is taken away if everybody's doing it on the test server ahead of time. So
I want Christmas in April.
yeah,
I'm just saying, I want Hexmas in April. That's it.
other than chests, which is what I'm looking forward to with the arena coming out, do you guys have any specific things that either you haven't been able to do yet on the test server or just in general that you'll be able to enjoy with them being tied to your account? Do you have anything that you're looking forward to with the arena coming out?
You want to go with this one, Austin?
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what the final version of the equipment ends up being, because I don't know how closely some people have watched that, but even just in the couple of weekends that they opened the test server and closed it again, the equipment has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Several of the pieces have been totally changed. Some of them disappeared entirely. Now, I don't know if that means they moved them to chests, or if they actually redesigned them, or if they just temporarily took some of them away because they're not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have no idea. Like, we don't know how much of it is going to be in right off the bat. And I think that even when stuff starts dropping in the arena, I'm willing to bet that that's not going to be all of it.
Yeah.
They'll probably add more to it. So even after a month or two of playing the arena, if they say, "Hey, we finished another 200 pieces of equipment, go have fun in the arena because there's more equipment to get."
Yeah.
We don't know yet how much of it is going to be ready in March. We know that they've said we're getting it in March, but we don't know how much of it's going to be. We don't know.
We also don't know
all the equipment or PBA cards are going to be there. We don't know if we're going to be getting chests yet. We have no idea. So
or
I'm excited
Kickstarter
to
rewards.
find
Like
out.
we have like the Lotus card
or
and
the
stuff like
Kickstarter.
that.
That's right. Yeah, totally. Like, we don't know if we're going to be getting our Kickstarter PBE cards yet, or if that's going to come a little later as well.
I think they hinted at it coming a little bit later.
Yeah.
So I would have to guess
Probably
that.
a safe bet.
Yeah.
Well, and most definitely one of the things when it comes to the Kickstarter rewards is they outright stated they are not going to stop Arena for the Kickstarter rewards.
Right.
So, which you can slice that any number of ways, but it definitely means that if any of the Kickstarter PvE cards like Ninja Training, which I was rereading Ninja Training, I can't wait for Ninja Training. But if that card is not ready yet, that's not going to stop everything that's coming out.
Yeah, and that's for the best. We also, on the equipment note, we don't know, exactly how you're going to acquire all of the equipment. Some of it might be so. I'll use an example. Is the Mastery of Time equipment it gives it escalation, and now it becomes extremely good, right? I mean, it's already a pretty good card, but now it becomes in like bonkers territory. And that, like, those equipment where they're absolutely ridiculous kind of stuff, they might not be available until Dungeon comes out, and it might be one of those things where you're like, I want this now, and they kind of tease you with it that this is what it's going to do, you just don't have it yet, and we're actually not going to give you it until the third dungeon comes out, or something like that. I mean, that's an option they have.
Some of the totally bonker, like the legendary cards with legendary equipment, some of them are probably going to be raid loot.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You're going to have to beat the honest-to-God Kraken if you want Mastery of Time to escalate.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be an accomplishment to get some of this stuff, I'm sure.
Which I really hope is the case, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Corey said right up front, equipment is the chasiest part of this game. Like, you think anything that you've got now is rare, you've got no idea how hard it's going to be to get some of this. Like, some of these equipment are just going to be crazy.
All right. Mokog, I'm going to challenge you. Oh, real quick.
Well, related to that while you're doing the challenge.
Oh, well, before you go, I was going to say, I'm going to challenge you with the Gore Master deck, so you probably don't want to use the one-drop deck.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you with this is at least a variation on the deck that I'm going to be giving away. I want to give away...
You want to preview it a little bit?
Well, this one I've changed a little bit since I wrote the 5 Shards article. I think I put Rage Fires in the deck, and I took out Reactor Bots, maybe. but that was to keep it under $10 and everything. And I still don't know if Ragefire should be in here, but that's really the only difference from that. But yeah, we'll play a game. And what were you gonna say?
So now one of the things that I think that speaks a little bit to what Guerre was mentioning about the JC loot cards, because I know I'm noticing some legendary drops whenever you.
Guerre, I was gonna say something there.
I'm sorry.
Break you.
I'm going to be broken by us. No. Well, but what, especially what Os was saying though about the legendary drops. I think that there are a couple, I would call them more legendary encounters that are there. I think Princess Corey is supposed to be a more legendary encounter because Princess Corey cheats. Well, Princess Corey doesn't literally cheat, but it feels like
it feels like it for sure.
Because when Princess Corey gets on a roll, Princess
that
Corey
ingenuity
gets on a roll.
engine.
And,
also,
well, in addition to that, then I still believe that the Uranaz deck there is one of those legendary rare encounters.
Yeah, no, it totally
just because of the Dragon Horde that comes if you actually end up beating the sucker. You know, those kinds of ones, like I can expect legendary loot to come from those. To me, that makes tons of sense.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. On the equipment note, though, to segue into another thing that I was thinking we might talk about, and this should be pretty brief. Do either of you guys have a favorite equipment that you actually got to play with hands-on on the test server to get things started while you think? Mine was probably either the Chlorophilia one, which was so simple but very enjoyable. It just makes Chlorophilia cost 1, so you can chain them all together, or like anytime you draw it, you just automatically play it because it pays for itself. So I enjoyed the Chlorophilia cost 1 equipment, and I also really enjoyed the Warbot dropship gain speed equipment because it just hits the table and all kinds of shit.
So nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some pieces of equipment that just basically break a deck wide open when you get them. Have you seen the PvE card Dream Stag?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a 2-drop 2/2, and every time you play a wild shard, a random troop in your hand gets +1/+1. But with one of its equipment, every troop in your hand gets +1/+1. So you basically get into a situation where you've got 3 or 4 good cards in your hand that you can't quite cast yet, and by the time you drop them, they're like 7/7, 9/9. It just gets broken really fast, especially if you've got a deck that dumps out lots of shards. Another really fun one that I've been playing with is actually I lucked into the legendary equipment for Renlock.
Nice.
It's a chest plate.
I meant to attack
it's called breastplate of the Archmage or something like that. But what it does is every time you play an action, it gets +1/+1. So not only does it become a great control deck engine, but it actually makes him a threatening troop as well. And in my Jankbot deck that I've been playing with, I've got a lot of replica creation in there. So I've had some situations where I've had 2 or 3 Renlocks all on the board, all getting buffed up, and then you swing in for lethal damage with Renlock, and it's hilarious because he's just supposed to sit there staying away from danger, and instead you get to go and blow people up, which is just hilarious.
Yeah, I like it. But yeah, some of those equipment are totally bonkers. Do you have a favorite one, Mokog?
You know what? I've taken a look at a few. Like I was saying at the start, I am doing my best to abstain from much of the equipment, but I'm going to read some of it. And one of the ones that I've liked so far, just from reading it, is actually a common one. And it's actually I mentioned on one of the other streams, it's the Spider's Lure. So it's a neck piece. And in this one is, your Brood Creepers have, when this enters play, exhaust target opposing troop it can't ready during its controller's next ready step. And that is an ability that's been very much a diamond ability and a sapphire ability, so you've never really seen that ability in blood.
But it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's great it's absolutely great for especially putting it on a betting card.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then on top of that, that it's the venom card that whenever it actually hits produces a spiderling.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you combine that with all of the synergy that's coming to spiderlings in PvE, I think it may be an early common staple for a venom spiderling PvE deck. But that's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking does not always necessarily pan out.
Well, I will say, Zarlox in the arena uses that equipment on his Brood Reapers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty nasty because he also has the set 2 cards Dartaxis. So as long as he's got 2 Sapphire Threshold, every time a spider deals damage, he draws a card.
Yep.
So it just makes it that much easier for him to refill his hand and get more of those nasty milk cards.
Yeah, it gets pretty disgusting. That Zarlox, though, pretty strong. But what else we had? So we talked about the arena kind of coming up this month. Hopefully, in the next week or two. I can't wait. The sooner the better, as far as Clarissa is concerned. Isn't that right? But what were we gonna say? We also have on our show notes
that's gonna hurt.
the arena intro video, which was actually in that same post that we linked. You just click the play on the video, and Hogarth will taunt you and all kinds of stuff. What were you just looking at the screen and seeing what I had, Mokog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went and looked at it. I'm
ugly.
like, oh.
Yeah, I missed the attack last turn because I clicked through it a little bit too quickly. But
is it worth? It's not worth losing that.
No, because they have crush. I mean, you're just gonna what are you gonna do? You're in trouble here. But yeah,
basically, I'll tell you what I have in my hand because the game's going to be over if I don't top deck.
Okay.
I have 2 shards, 2 necessary sacrifices, and 2 Oberon's eulogies in my hand. I have a Wakasashi Ambusher Burrowed, and that is it right now. So if I take a look at your hand, if you draw a
Ruby shard, you're dead.
I am definitely dead. Hands down, super dead.
There's and pretty much anything else. Like there are a lot of other things in this deck.
As long as you don't pull a ruby, I can live one more turn.
If I pull like a ruby pyromancer, that would be a bad draw.
Yeah,
and I think that's about it.
If you draw anything that's like ruby, I'm in trouble. If you draw anything that's wild, I don't care, except for crackling sprout.
Well, that'll work fine. Let me just do this.
Yeah, that'll work. Done. It's all over.
Yep. Alright.
I pulled my hand out, I'm looking at my hand, I'm like, I know this is a slow hand.
Yeah, I think
but
Gas Troll was the only bad thing that I could
I couldn't take any lesser cards. Because I'm like, maybe if he's slow this time?
And this deck does have slow hands. Like, over the weekend I was playing this deck, and I drew the Gore Master hands quite often. I didn't get the Gas Troll hands very often. The Gas Troll hands are my favorite ones, like that one right now. It's a very good Gas Troll hand. But yeah, what do we have? And speaking of which, that moves us into the community news. Is last weekend we had the HexTCG tournament. I played this deck in it, and I did not do so well. But there were quite a few people in the tournament playing a very spicy Jankbot deck. And
Spicy.
That was Penta and his team, I believe, with Zubrin on there and Deck of Many Things as well. We're all running that list. Well, actually, I don't think Zubrin was playing in the tournament, was he? I can't remember. I don't think he was. But those guys were working on that deck, and it was pretty rad. I enjoyed watching it played because there were some pretty bonkers things happening where like a Jankbot flipped into a Gore Feast or a Mastery of Time and got to do it all over again or something like that, and it's just pretty ridiculous. Yeah.
Actually, you know what we should do right now? Let's give away a draft.
All right, that sounds good. We'll give away a draft. Let me bring up the screen region for doing that if I can quickly. Let's see. I'm probably gonna have to redo the region for that. We'll do a new one because we have the weird stuff going on with the cameras. All right, so that gives people time to enter at the last minute here if they want. We're gonna be doing a giveaway for the draft here. We currently have 15 people entered in for the giveaway, and let me
draft code.
The screen region. Alrighty, I think that's what we need.
We need to draw for the Gore Master deck first.
Well, I think we're gonna do that towards the end because we still have a couple things to talk
Yeah,
about. So
because
we'll save
we have the
the
two
big
drafts
stuff for later.
with the one we're doing now. We still have our Cracker Pack
Oh,
giveaway.
yeah, we did Gore Master as the entry, but that's for all the
Oh,
giveaways.
okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So it's
All
like
right.
for all of them.
Yes,
Yep.
it's for all of them.
One
In that
entry.
case, I need to join.
You want in on the draft code or on the Gore Master is what you want in on?
I need to win.
All right. Well, so Osprey's in there as well. We're gonna go and roll the dice. We got a bunch more entries, including Os, which is good times. I'm glad that we clarified that for you at least.
Everyone get your
First
hashtag rigged ready.
Yeah.
I have mine typed up right here.
Wow.
Oh, neither one of us see it yet. Functions laughing. This is gotta be terrible.
Oh man. Oh.
No,
Like
no,
you guys saw it. I just clicked the button and
no,
said like there's no way I could have done that. That was pretty funny. Alright, so Osprey wins the draft code. I like it. I will send that over to you in game afterwards or on Twitch, one or the other. But we still have more get draft codes to give away. I find that incredibly entertaining. Yeah,
joined
good
in
times.
with everyone else.
You can't join the giveaway, Mokog. You won't.
I get that. I'm not in there, but that.
Oh, I saw the exclamation mark rigged. I thought it was exclamation mark. I just saw the exclamation mark and nothing else and filled in the rest with my brain. But yeah, all right, there we go. So Osprey, congratulations on winning the draft code. Do you have any acceptance speech you would like to make on the draft code? We don't normally have a guest on the show, and now that we do, and you just happen to win something, I feel like you need to say something like you'd like to thank the Academy and everybody who votes for it. No.
I'd like to thank Kismet for being nice for a change, and I'd like to apologize for Data Dragon for waking up all the complaints he's getting.
Data Dragon comes out of the woodwork, comes out of the cave, just because of the reports of the rigged giveaway. I like it. Very good. That mission accomplished then in that case. We all win. Hey to Data Dragon.
It's crazy. One of the funnest parts about the show is when, because we don't actively monitor like who's in going on because we're trying to pay attention to everything. When all of a sudden one of the Hex HQ crew just pops in on chat like when it's Data Dragon or sometimes Fenteo, and they just start answering questions. It's so weird, and I'm like, they're watching me. They're watching me.
It does make you a little paranoid.
Data Dragon hopping in here on the chat though reminded me of something, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with last week's events and everything. I can hide Ossuary taunting everybody there. Oh no, that's this one. There we go. What was I gonna say? Is last week there was also the kind of stress test on Saturday afternoon on the test server, and they managed to crash it, which is mission accomplished as far as it sounds like. But for people who didn't have a chance to see Chris Wood's post, like kind of the retrospective of what happened that day.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the best. Like, it was a really great post.
Oh, yeah.
I really recommend people check it out. I wish I had remembered beforehand. I would have the link in here right now. I might try to find it, or I might have Mokog go fetch it for me.
I can probably fetch
Yeah, and then we can post.
Quest accepted.
Because I don't like typing while I'm the host because it makes it really loud. But
Did you put? Do you remember where they put it?
oh, and there goes the siren. They're coming for me.
It was in the test server.
Yeah, it was in the post for the tournament, and then it was like 4 pages or 10 pages in. I don't know. It was kind of towards the end, but Chris put it in there, and it was an exceptional post. I really recommend folks checking it out, and one of these two is going to find it and link it for everybody. But yeah, they're coming for me. They heard that there was a rigged HexTCG giveaway, and so they're sending the Chicago police after me. Either that or somebody's going to the hospital because there's 2 very close to me. All right, but yeah, fun times. Those sirens. That one went by really fast. Normally they go by pretty slow, so I guess that's probably a bad thing. But yeah, we were talking about odds and ends, and we went off on some tangent. I can't quite remember where we were. We did a giveaway. We played a game. We were talking about the HexTech tournament, and then we mentioned the stress test. We also have... Oh, I know what was next on the list. We'll let Mokog introduce this next part.
Have we talked about the video yet?
No, that's why I was going to let you introduce it. Unless you...
Okay, so it's the
yeah.
video. We're talking the video. I just wanted to double check to make sure that we didn't because I was focused on here trying to find
Sure. Totally.
everything that was going on. So okay, the video is cool. Do you have the video pulled up? Because I think we should run that video for everyone.
Oh, do I have it pulled up? I might have a... Okay, well, I will... wait.
Because you can follow the link that we have in our show notes,
Oh.
and then if you want, you can turn that into a screen reader and show it that way.
Okay. This is funny, because I was talking about your video. And you were talking about the Frost Ring video.
I'm talking about the Frost Ring Arena video. Okay, no,
we can try showing the Frost Ring video real quick. I mean, it's only...
show it.
Okay, I'll try bringing that up real quick. It might give us some issues here with the stream because of my bandwidth stuff, and when I have 2 Skype videos going and other stuff. Sometimes also recapturing video as it's being shown is troublesome, but we will give that a shot because I have the link right here.
So while Function's pulling that up, so for those who may not necessarily know, Function and I are both contributors to 5 Shards. We do about a monthly article on some sort of topic. I've kind of focused a little bit mine towards some of the PvE lore-ish type things because we have so many great minds working on cards and combos, and and when it comes to the market stuff, something that you do once a month to provide a really substantial meaty update for everyone takes a little bit more time than what it takes for me to even make a 10 or 15 minute video. Because I can make a 10 or 15 minute video that's of moderate quality in anywhere from an hour and a half to like 3 hours. But if I was going to pull up the equivalent of a monthly Hexonomics report and actually make it worth looking or reading into and having to rewrite and make it not the most dry piece of nonsense ever,
Sure.
That's going to take me more than 3 hours because I'm a much better talker than I am a writer.
Yeah.
So on this last one, since we're just moving from the test server and we're about to move over into a live server, I thought it would be really good to pull together something that was kind of along the lines of, what does it look like that Hex has done really well. Really take a look at, because there's always going to be small things, really quick wins like different types of bugs, maybe small little things that a technical team is going to easily be able to take care of. But then the most interesting part in my mind are the opportunities that they have just within the arena to make it an extremely engaging experience. Because I don't know how many people have played other digital TCGs. I'm not going to throw any of them particularly under the bus, but the ones that do offer a PvE type experience, they either have just a flat out like area, and they may show you a place on the map that you're at, and then you start loading into a game, or they'll run you along a fairly short linear path. So there's like, you face this, and then you face this, and then you face this.
They're pretty shallow, basically.
Yeah, they're fairly shallow on that part. Now, Hex has, it gives you the idea of you understand how many encounters you're going to go through. The UI for that is absolutely beautiful going through.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's ways and opportunities for Hex to make the screens in between that linear experience more interactive.
And I think...
I know that they plan on doing something. I know that it's still an evolving, continual process.
Yeah.
But that's what the video is about, and I think the praises and just the things that are really fun are just really great hype, good things to get into the arena just for flat out they do it better than anyone else. And then the opportunities they have are deep, meaty opportunities that won't just make them better than everyone else if they latch on to one or more of them, but they will blow every other digital competitor out of the water by doing them.
And I watched your video.
In my honest opinion.
I watched your video almost right after you posted it, and I really liked it. I think you had you kind of had a lot of criticism, but also a lot of just it wasn't really so much criticism as this is just the way it is, and there's plenty of room to do awesome stuff, and they're probably planning to. And then I saw a day or two later that on your forum post for it, Tyler, the art director, I think, for Hex, even mentioned a little post on your thing and enjoyed the video as well. And I thought that was yeah, go Mokog. Yeah, it was a great video. I enjoyed it.
Well, and actually one of the things that Ty brings up, and one of the things I mentioned in the video, not super spoilers, was that when you're reading Hogarth's dialogue trees, it looks like there's actually supposed to be a tree there. It when you start changing your click through button to remove the window and to move through the challenge, if it says something other than continue or okay, someone designed the thought of it being something a little more expansive. And when all of a sudden it looks like I can banter back to Hogarth a little bit, I think that is just a perfect opportunity to allow the players, without any real onerous menus, to bite off less or more than they can chew, depending on how sassy they want to be.
And prompt a response from them. Yeah, sassy's a good word.
Well, and because one of the things is, I think that if you walk in and you start at the very part of the arena and I have a dialogue tree of options and I go, screw you, Hogarth, I'm going to wreck your entire arena, there's nothing you can do to stop me, I think right then and there, he should try to squash you.
Yeah.
I think they should kick everything up to hard. All the equipment comes out.
Hard mode
enabled.
You are
facing tier 4 on tier 1.
I like it.
And you learn some humility.
I think...
Because to me, that right there is crazy fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like... Well, I'm a big fan of hard mode, so any kind of thing like that enables a hard mode unlocked is always fun. And the one thing I would say is some stuff like that, it might... you don't want it to become cumbersome at some point where, like, the 20th time through the arena, you have to click through talking to Hogarth the 20th time, and it just takes longer and it's tedious. So, I mean, if there are things that only pop up every once in a while, that way they feel like a reward rather than just like, yeah, whatever, I'll go to sleep now, wake me up when he's done talking kind of thing. That's... you got to be careful, but I think like that's easy to work around, especially when they know they're making content that's meant to be played multiple times over rather than just once. It's different strokes for different folks, different type of game, requires different types of storytelling, I suppose. But I like what you went with. Are we... Hacky was in here asking, what's the Gore Master giveaway? So today's giveaways, we're doing our regular 3, the 2 draft codes, which Oshuari just happens to have won the first one that we gave away. We're also doing the Crack-A-Pack, and our 4th giveaway that we're doing for today is I'm going to be giving away the Gore Master deck that I talked about on the 5 Shards article, which we posted up earlier in chat, but it's on 5shards.com from last week's article that I posted on Wednesday, I believe. It was like a budget beatdown. I think I'm going to try to do those articles somewhat regularly where they're decks that are either below $10 or below $15. I'm not quite sure where the sweet spot is. And it might change. Like one week it might be one that's below 15, just because I need to include another couple cards to make it more feasible. But generally, probably try to keep them under $10 and just write about that in there. So that's good times. What else were we saying? So we had, this is the Frost Arena intro video. It's gonna probably, there's gonna be sound on it and everything, so hopefully the sound comes through correctly, and hopefully it doesn't crash the stream as I play it. But we'll go ahead and play it. Yeah, it's only 30 seconds, so here we go.
Gotta check it.
Great Frost Arena. Only a great man could harness the power of the arena. Bring forth your fire. Bring forth your spells. For I possess that power. I am your overlord. Rise up to meet me.
Alright, so I think the video is pretty sweet. I know both. Well, I know Mokog's watched it for sure.
The animation.
Yeah, I was actually just going to touch on that, and I'm guessing Ossuary, you probably watched it as soon as it was posted. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
Right. All right. So I'm actually. I was just figuring we would show it for the stream, but I want to go back to one point on here because I think it's actually pretty cool, and it's what Mokog was just saying. So this is like 10 seconds in. We'll just go over it real fast, and then I was going to say something about it. I guess it wasn't, that one doesn't have it quite as much. Like the tentacles actually are moving on his eyes a little bit, and that's really cool. And then the flames here, this is what I was going to talk about. Like the flames are moving and everything. This is actually art from a card. It's just like the rest of the card's not shown, right? I think it's like Heart of Flame, something like that maybe. Or no, that's a different card. I'm blanking out on the name of this one all of a sudden. I know what it does. It costs like 7 and gives you a bunch of stuff. A Circle of Flame. Born of the Flame. That's what it is. Born of the Flame. So as you're watching the video, the flames are moving around. Like, how cool would it be if you beat all 3 double backs on a card? The flames, like, it would unlock the flames on the card or something like that. Oh, I would be...
Yeah.
Animated card, yes please.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? I really think it may be a good idea to just do on the legendaries. It kind of makes sense for some of the legendaries to really tie animations into there first before going down, because it's a lot easier to do it for a host of 30 to 45 to 50 legendaries, and you know, for each cycle of legendaries to have anywhere from 11 to like 20 legendaries to be done every cycle for an animation, which is still a really tight deadline, by the way. But
here's the question:
just did it like when you first, like, even if it wasn't animated the whole time.
That's what I was just about to touch on.
Did a little animation when you played the card, and then like it settled down to the flat static image while it's in play.
Yeah, maybe while it was on the chain, it would be animated. Yeah. I think if it was like a troop and it was just animated the entire time it was on the field, it would probably be pretty distracting. It has potential to be, at least. Right.
Well, when it's something like, I think a really good one would be the flame is a good passive continual animation. The little tentacle movement is also a good passive animation. Now, one that would be a more distracting animation would actually be the Zoltog's axe going into the ground.
Yeah.
You could solve that by being able to like lengthen the timer. You know, it's hit here and then all of a sudden it go. Boom. That kind of thing would be really fun. Or maybe like every time he actually hits onto a champion, you see the staff go up and go down, and then all of a sudden that's what actually summons the Savage Raider to come in.
I think
those kind of tie-ins would be, you know, they're just nice little finishing touches.
Yeah, I think figuring out how to do it right is actually a lot tougher than it probably sounds like. That's actually probably the tougher part of it.
Oh yeah, the theory craft is easy. The execution is.
I mean, you could just slap in animation and do it there, but like it's gonna, as Ebenfell was saying here, and it was my first thought as well, is, you know, if it's constant, it's gonna be really CPU intensive. If there's all these little animations going on the screen at once, and especially if there were like 10 cards with him on board or something, right?
Yeah, you can totally go too far with it too, like you said that.
But I think maybe it's like the first time you play it in the game, or maybe even like a victory screen. When it pops the victory screen, it could have like your MVP card or something, and that card could be animated.
MVP card.
Yeah, I like that.
Really sexy.
That would be pretty cool,
I
and
get behind that.
And that doesn't seem like that would be nearly as intensive, right? Because you're not playing the rest of the game. It's just like the one screen. It doesn't have as much to keep track of, I would imagine. So on there, if it was playing that while there's not a whole lot going on, yeah, like Ost was saying, I could get behind that too. So I'd be all about that. But yeah,
I would love to see more stuff going on in the victory screen, like an MVP card, like it shows like the best play of the game kind of thing, and maybe even have the little fishbowl view where it shows each player's next 3 cards.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man, if only I could have drawn one more card.
Yep.
Like, I love that kind of stuff that you can do in real life, and right now we're missing a lot of that. I would love to see that victory screen show a little more detail about what went down.
Yeah.
You know, highest damage in one hit.
Exactly.
Some little stats like that. Even it doesn't have to be the same thing every time either.
There could be 20 different stats and it only shows you 3 of them. Yeah, I would love that.
Corey's talked about that a couple of times before. I know that kind of stuff is a long way off, but I always think about that kind of stuff. And those little details are the things that make you the most excited about what the future of Hex is going to be. Is when we get to that point where all the things they promised are in, and they get to go back and look at all the little polished things they can do to really jazz up the experience. That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, and I mean, polish is really important. In some cases, like, it's going to be more important than, you know, some what you might say are quote major features. Like, polish is a big deal, and when they can squeeze in time to work on small stuff like that, maybe like improving the victory screen or putting more info out there, I think it'd be great. I would obviously love to see that, and I think it would be a lot of fun for like new folks seeing it. It just makes the game feel a little bit more exciting and everything. That'd be pretty cool.
One thing on polish, I think we're dealing with a video game, and to compare it to, like, on a physical TCG, I love the foiling on a card, but when it all comes down to it, the foiling just makes it pretty. If there was a way that it interacted with me that was new and interesting, it would blow my mind in a physical TCG. And that's one of the great things about Hex, is because we're getting different kinds of interactions. Mechanically, Hex does things different. That's one of the reasons why we love the game that we love.
On
But and it's the interactivity that we can get that separates it and brings it into the digital realm more. I think that will take it beyond being able to click things in that other Blizzard game. That when all of a sudden the stuff that you can do on the periphery starts mattering a little bit, when it makes sense and immerses you in the world. Maybe you learn a little bit of lore. Maybe you cracked open a statue and the entirety of your arena run, the statue's broken. Something like that could be,
okay, like,
here and there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, or even like you're saying, like there was a statue card and you beat it and then it showed up on the play map for the rest of the game, kind of thing.
So, for instance, they have a couple of the ice statues that are in the background. So let's say one of those happened to actually be the hero of Adamanth. One of them kind of looks like him. Let's say that
I'm totally with you.
The hero of Adamanth.
Yeah.
I mean, not just a little bit. Like, you take your Gore Master and you give him -56.
Yeah. He's annihilated.
Just the little things here and there, and the more Easter eggy they are, the better. For small stuff like that.
On the foiling note, because you mentioned it, like I think like a physical card being foil, obviously you're like, oh, that looks really cool. I think that specific thing is kind of hard to pull off digitally, where it just like it doesn't look gaudy. And I think, there's ways they can do it. But if it's just not like foil, if that's something they actually want to do with cards. If it's done wrong, I would just rather it not be done at all, because it's just kind of like silly in some cases, I think, or it has potential to be. But yeah.
I finally found the Chris Woods post.
Oh well, Ossuary beat you to it like 10 minutes ago.
Like 10, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. So up in chat, Ossuary linked it. And that's the Chris Woods post, which I highly recommend people check out if they missed it. I missed it, had somebody else not pointed it out to me. I think Guer did or somebody. And it was a good read. I was really glad I did, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's awesome to hear. When things crash, a lot of people go, oh, well, that's not good. No, that's what they're kind of trying to do with the test server. But anyways, going back to
stashing that to read afterwards, because that looks hyper interesting.
I recommend you do.
Yeah, well, I'm a programmer myself, right? So like I presumed some of that, and like I really knew what he was talking about, but it was great to see the level of detail that he went into.
Yeah.
That's something you don't often see, that level of transparency in a gaming company. So that was pretty great to see it, and sort of to get a feel for exactly what they've been dealing with all these tournament tests that they've been doing.
Yeah. It's been a while they've been working on them, and they had a couple fire off with quite a bit of success on the test server. That one had like almost 600 people in it, so it's not too surprising that it crashed. But the ones that were held earlier in the week had somewhere between 200 and 300 people, if I'm not mistaken, and those went pretty well. There were still some issues, but yeah.
We had one over the previous weekend with 180 something people in it that completed successfully, and there were two more during the week last week that had more than 128 people. One of them had more than 200, and they completed successfully without errors. That's good progress. It's just when they tried to ramp it all the way up to a really high number that it crapped out.
I want to touch on one thing real quick, because I haven't, well, maybe I just haven't been paying close enough attention, but I haven't really seen it mentioned a whole lot. Let's just stop and think that tournament from last week, the one that was going while the 5 Shards tournament was going, it had almost 600 people in it, I think. It was close to that, right? That's a lot of people playing Hex at one time. Like that alone, just like that, there were that many people logged in trying to get in the tournament on the test server. Like that had me pretty hyped. Like I think that's pretty awesome. There are live TCGs that can't get enough people to a tournament like that. And sure, there might have been people on multiple accounts and stuff like that, just trying to make sure that they were able to break it. But still, I think that's something that should not go unsung. It's an accomplishment, just the number alone.
Mokog says it was 554.
Yeah.
43 were there in spirit.
46. Yeah, no, definitely. But so I think that I was pretty hyped off just seeing that. Going down though, we were gonna do our chat checkup, and we didn't mention our question ahead of time, so maybe we'll do the card of the week first, and then our chat checkup. But the question for the chat checkup was actually one that I guess I asked subconsciously to you guys earlier. But for the people out in chat, what were some of your favorite equipment that you were able to play with hands-on on the test server? So ones that where you just didn't, where you looked through the list and you saw them and you're like, this one looks like fun. Those ones don't count. You have to actually verify that it was fun. And which ones did you really enjoy, or which ones were not as enjoyable or something for you? Let's hear what you guys had to say about equipment. So why don't you guys start thinking about what you might say there, or what ones were your favorites. And while you're doing so, we'll start talking about the card of the week, which I need to actually load into XSplit. I couldn't earlier, or else it was going to spoil it. So now's a good time to do that, right? Right, Mokog?
Yeah, so while you're loading that in, I will preface it a little bit while it's loading on. So we were looking through, we wanted to do another PvE feature, and we were thinking about like some of the more difficult encounters, some of the ones that were really weird. And one of the ones that was featured on the site that also made sense actually happened to be Princess Corey's encounter. Now, Princess Corey's encounter is an extremely random encounter. It's got a lot of random effects. You never know exactly what's going to happen. But one of the things that does happen is that when it starts running away with it, it runs away. And so we were taking a look of... and one of the other things I've noticed is that the Princess Corey encounter has an awful lot of Corey's personality put into this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the one we're looking at today, now that we have it up, is Ingenious Invocation. So this is a 2-cost, 2 Sapphire Threshold basic action. It's escalation. Creates an escalated base 2 random cards and put them into your hand. So, it creates random cards, puts them into the hand. Princess Corey can pretty much play anything within reason, especially anything with a single threshold. And it's just kind of this crazy, if it's a possible weird combo, Princess Corey might be able to pull it off at any point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool card, just that it escalates and like it starts off crazy and then it just keeps getting more and more crazy. Like, it's fun. I like it.
The thing you really have to remember about creating random cards is that this Ingenious Invocation has no limits on it. You know, people have been posting some crazy things that Princess Corey has done in the forums. I think what they don't realize is that at least some of them are because of this card.
Yeah.
I don't think. Again, I'm not sure, because I don't have the full deck list, and I have not successfully completely milled Princess Corey yet. My J-Quad deck. I'm still working on that one. I actually beat her by damage, but I don't think that Princess Corey has Triumvirate in the deck. But I have seen her cast the Triumvirate, and I think it's because of Ingenious Invocation.
So here's a question on that.
That's horrifying.
Okay, awesome.
Well, yeah, because every transformed card is still its own card.
Yes.
Yeah. So you might be able to answer this one for me. On the Invocation, does Corey's deck actually have multiple copies of this card in the deck to start with? Like, I haven't played against Corey all that much, but I've only ever seen it played once, so it's kind of making me think there might just be one copy in there, and it's escalating those one copies, which kind of makes the escalation a little bit weaker, but it does add to the fun aspect of it.
I have seen it a few times. I've probably battled Princess Corey a dozen or maybe 15 times at the most.
Yeah, I seem really bad luck for finding
this
Corey.
Card 3 or 4 times, and only once has he managed to replay it in the same game.
Sure.
Before I either got destroyed or I beat him. So I think it might be a one of in the deck. I doubt that there's 4 of them, because that would be pretty insane.
Yeah.
Even for that deck, 4 of this card might be overkill.
It's definitely a cool card. Like, either way, it's a lot of fun, and if it's a one of, it kind of adds into that chaotic randomness. I feel like I would have been well, I don't know what the right word is for how I feel, but we were talking about using Chaotic Conjuring as our card of the week here, and it was another Corey card. We wanted to use a Corey card as the card of the week, and so we ended up using Ingenious Invocation. We thought it was a little bit more fun, but we were going to be talking about. I wanted to just bring up Chaotic Conjuring real quick.
Look at the look on Corey's face.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He looks so sad. I feel bad for him.
He's so distraught, but it's okay because his daughter is there to help. That I played a match where Corey got 2 of these out on turn. He played one on turn 2. He played a second one on turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most ridiculous game I've ever played against him. That was a long, drawn out slugfest. He kept those 2 things in play for about 5 turns. And was getting at least 3 free resources every turn. He played a 7-drop card on turn 4.
Oh,
and I was like,
man.
that's it, I lose. But I actually managed to top deck an Extinction that game.
Yep. Oh.
But it was a crazy match. I absolutely love playing against Princess Corey. That deck is so fun, but man, is it broken. If it works, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, I really like some of these cards. Like the Corey ones, I like what you're saying is like the games against Corey are some of the most memorable games. Like they did a great job at creating that. Like that's awesome. They nailed it.
So let me tackle this from another side. So one of the things that you can tell from the art that's put in here, you can tell from the creativity that's put in here, that this is a well put together, customized deck.
Mm-hmm.
They've played through it often. They've run through. They've done the effects, and the deck does not care whether or not it goes unbalanced in either direction. Because there are times you can go against Princess Corey and just stomp at turn 4.
Yeah,
because all of its random effects came out
didn't work in
its best favor. Or the Corey couldn't get the threshold for some of the cards that randomly popped into his hand that they had to actually play.
Yeah.
But the thing I think that is really the most curious and I think tells the most interesting story is actually the juxtaposition of the art that we have here right now. Because one of the things that you'll notice with Princess Corey is you have the association with the dragon tattoo-like art associated with Princess Corey, and the fairies and fae. So anything that is a fairy or fae is being associated with Princess Corey. Holiday is a fairy type. I don't think it's actually specifically fae or fairy, but they're drawn as a fairy. The Chaotic Conjuring also featuring a fairy. The emotions that are being put in through on those art, I think, is a little bit more personal than what we might be expecting for our first dungeon. But I think is very telltale of what we should expect for the meaning and the heart that the team has put in so far.
Yeah.
We see it, guys. We see it, guys.
I believe that the dragon that you see in the background and on Princess Corey's actual champion image are the same dragon from the Chesto Hex card.
Oh,
I think that's the first time that those multicolored, spiritual-looking dragons ever made an appearance.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like those.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. This is one final thing I was going to touch on with the art is I think I've even heard Corey mention something about like when he's doing his pitch on socketed cards. It's like what are some of every TCG player's favorite thing is being able to create their own cards, and that's what you can do with socketed ones. And then he was like, another one is having I completely blanked on the word. I had it on the tip of my tongue as I started saying this, but cards that are made in your image. What's the word?
The vanity cards.
Vanity cards. In this sense, Corey, he's kind of cheating even further. Princess Corey cheats hard. Corey has so many vanity cards in here. Like, yeah, lucky dog, right?
Well, it's one of those things where it's understandable. Princess Corey is an icon.
Yeah.
It was done very well. They've kept it through. It's that inside theming that's run through for a very long time.
Yeah, fun stuff like that's important for building a game.
It's building mythos and flavor and how we can explain blonde locks and brown facial hair. I don't know yet. We'll eventually find out.
But yeah, this was fun. So that was our card of the week. You guys have any other final notes about the Corey deck or either of these two cards? No, I think we're pretty
goodness.
good. I mean, we talked about them quite a bit, so.
The one thing I want to see that we're probably going to have to kind of network the community together to get it entirely is someone needs to mill everything in Princess Corey's deck, and we need a screenshot of every single one of these cards. I swear there's a story there. I don't know what the story is yet, but I swear there's one there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. I mean, a lot of the rest of the arena decks, for that matter, too, being able to mill them all or figure out what every single card in the deck list, that's definitely going to happen at some point, and so is my radiator going off, so I'm going to go turn that before everybody goes, what's that howling in the background? I'll be right back, guys, and then we will chime in with chat there, and I'll almost knock over my camera.
The real trick with that is milling him out before he manages to transform half of everything, or add 50 more cards to his deck.
Yeah, I think probably the best way to go about it would end up being if you can do a really fast mill. So it'd probably, like, maybe Azure Fate Jank if you got a God hand against the Corey. But now the best part is that you can, since Corey ends up being an end-of-tier boss, if you feel as though you're going to beat Corey without seeing every card in the deck, or Corey's about to just nail you up to the side of the arena wall, that you can just quit out, and we can take those multiple turns to try to get a mill deck to work properly on it.
Alrighty,
Someone's going to have to put in the time and effort to do. We haven't done it yet.
I'm back. So we're ready to chime in with chat. I'm gonna scroll up and run down what some of people's favorite equipments are in here, and anybody who hasn't said something in chat about what your favorite equipment is, now's the time to say what experiences with them you are enjoying on the test server. And pretty soon...
Give a nice big list with no explanation of what any of them are.
yeah, right. I'm sure that'll probably be the case, right? That's a good point.
15 pieces of equipment.
I like the amulet of legendness. Well, I don't know which card that works with. I'm sorry. What was he gonna say?
Gloves of unrelenting pain.
I was gonna say something along those lines. Yeah. So if you still have some other ones in here you want to add, go for it, and we'll chime in and see what we have. Feldspar was the first one in here saying he liked the higher horn sellswords battle a troop when it enters play because he's a sucker for the Minotaurs. Those ones are pretty cool, and my favorite thing about that card is one of the bugs that I encountered was, well, I mean, maybe this wasn't a bug, it was just because I can't remember what specifically the equipment said, if it said opponent's troops or if it could battle its own troops. I think it said opponent's troops, so it was also a bug. It was definitely an AI misplay, but
I have that equipment, and I have the test server up since they restarted it.
And you can battle your own troops?
Higher Cell Swords have, when this enters play, it battles target troop.
Okay, so the AI had it battle its own troop. I had stuff on my side of the table, but it just felt like playing the Minotaur. It battled something else, and both of its troops died, leaving no troops on its side. So it basically board wiped itself by playing the Minotaur. It's like, and what's the best part about it? Is if it had just attacked with the troop, I would have died.
There are a couple. I've noticed this on the AI, and when there's a straight line of play, the AI follows the straight lines of play. When there's combat tricks or some understandable trees that go through, the AI is very good and will take advantage of those. And we notice those very quickly because you used to be able to trick the AI. Well, the AI is learning how to block better and it's learning how to attack better.
Yeah.
What gets curious is when you do crazy stuff to their cards, like you happen to give it -2/-2, or you do something super crazy that whenever it tries to do its the stated function of what that deck's personality is supposed to be, and you just render it ineffective and it repeats it over and over again. When that kind of stuff happens, you go, okay, the AI's got something it's got to do.
Well, I think kind of what it is like the AI, they're starting to program it so that it's able to identify different situations and build upon its like past experiences. It kind of feels like maybe, or identify like what lines of play win more often than others, and then use those lines accordingly. And I think it's starting to recognize like, okay, this is bad, that's good. Like, I haven't seen it do stuff like the Hired Horde sellsword since the first week. I know that for a while it was treating Killipede as just another one attack dude that wasn't that threatening, but
Yeah,
when
it
it
still
connects,
is.
it can do some
It
nasty
still
stuff.
is.
So I
I'd
mean,
say
you know,
Killipede is cheating in Arena
yeah.
because they just so rarely target the Killipede and they will just let it through. And I'm like, you've got a troop. You should block this so that you can attempt to kill me next turn. Nope, double poison dead. Oh, that was a great end to King Gabriel.
We also had Dark Shadow in here saying the Azure Fate equipment that reduces its cost, that lowers its cost by 1. He had some interest, but he wasn't able to find it. And that's kind of like having a Queen Grace in your deck, but it just starts out that way. And, that's pretty good. And Azure Fate Sorceress is one of my favorite cards to play with because it can just make so many different types of decks work. It can do a lot of stuff.
And actually, I'm looking at another really fun one, too. Go ahead, Oss.
I still love combining 2 different Azure Fate Sorceresses, especially with the equipment, because if you do one with the damage gem and one with the Rhino gem, and they're both 3 costs, it comes into play, it deals damage, it makes a Rhino. The Rhino comes into play, it deals damage,
it makes a Rhino.
It's just, if you can get both of the Azure Fate gems out in the same game,
it's wombo time.
Automatically win. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Azure Fate enables a lot of awesome stuff like that. Like the same one with Azure Fate and Master Moss, where the Master Moss can't die now because it just comes into play, does damage, and transforms back. All kinds of cool stuff. I love that card. It's a great one. And reducing its cost, obviously pretty good. And in that case, like you were just saying, you don't even have to use Queen Grace to shrink it because it'll just start out as 3 and you're in good shape.
All right, I have a question. Have y'all noticed how they started coloring the borders?
I think I did.
When you look at the equipment, you notice, and you start hovering over it. We notice it's got the little icon and it's got the rarity on there. And it confused me for quite a while on why those borders... Essentially, my mind was going, this border needs to match the rarity so that I can quickly see what it is. And I just recently figured out exactly what the borders correspond to. So one of the things I've noticed on the borders is that the border corresponds to the shard type of the card it's for. So that way you can visually see whether this is a ruby equipment, whether this is a blood equipment, whether this is diamond equipment.
That makes a lot more sense. I had seen that before and I thought it was rarity because the colors kind of do correspond with like the typical colors purple for was it rare?
Well, and it's also because you get some false positives too. So because if you have a rare sapphire equipment, it looks like, oh, that one's correct. Maybe all of the others getting worked on. No, I mean, because once you go through the arena enough and you've got kind of a wider variety of equipment, you go, oh, this blood card is for the Fertile Engorger, and it happens to be uncommon. Oh, purple border, purple card.
Sure, that's pretty cool though.
Bing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the text color, the color of the text of the name of the equipment is the rarity.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you combine the 2 with the border, you can tell what it's for.
Yeah, I hadn't.
The name of it will tell you the rarity.
I hadn't paid a lot of attention to that. I'm glad you guys mentioned it because that's a good factoid.
Well, and I think it really kind of helps pan out on a few of the just some of the differences because I remember looking at their icons before. And I'm going, the border of this makes no sense. What's going on here? What is it trying to tell me? Because when you only have like 6 or 7 of them, you don't always notice because we don't, they didn't have the little pop outs telling you what everything was yet. We just had the icons, remember? And now that we can pop those icons out and go, oh, which by the way, I love their pop out. I love that it's got the box with the text and then right next to it, it's got the card it's for.
Yeah,
that is nice.
That's really
Good
nice.
job, guys. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. They're making big strides on that. And like on the reward screen, you can now see all the, like, you can see what the equipment does, and you can also see what the PvE cards do. Until last week, those cards didn't do anything in the reward screen. So I really love they're bringing that all together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to see all these, all those little small things add up to be pretty big pretty quickly.
But I have to say this now in case anyone else is still watching. Y'all need to change the art on Pegasus Feather. I'm calling it now. Change that art.
Okay, here's actually, I don't know specifically which one you're talking about, but have you guys seen the Wyatt the Sapper card?
Yes.
It's like a peg leg, isn't it?
It's a human, right? Like,
Oh,
it looks like it's got the wrong art on it.
Yeah, let's deal with that.
I keep meaning to submit that, and I haven't yet, but
I already did.
You already did, okay.
I forgot all about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
That something happened to Wyatt the Sapper champion, and he's some weird human mage now with a tall blue hat.
yeah, he's like he looks like he's got like a Pope hat kind of, but yeah,
Wyatt the Pope.
yeah, he found a new profession. Anyhow, we're gonna go back through some of the equipment real quick, and then I think it's time to fire off another giveaway as well. We've already done one giveaway? Is that right, Mokog?
Yes. So far, we've given to our very lucky guest today.
Yep.
Has won himself a draft code.
All right.
We need to give away another draft, the Gore deck, and the Cracker Pack.
Well, in that case, why
Okay,
don't we have the giveaway for the other draft pack right now, and then we will continue down the list of the equipment for chat, and then we'll do our Cracker Pack, and then we will give away the Gore Master deck.
Sounds good.
So here's the next roll coming up. Hopefully everybody who wants in on a draft code is currently entered, and here you go. SG Chan wins for like the 8th or 9th week in a row. I mean, it's not really that often, but SG Chan
is always winning stuff.
has been
Every
pretty
channel.
lucky. Yeah.
That's because SG Chan shows a lot of love to the community.
Yep.
We heart you.
So congratulations, SG Chan. Hopefully, this might be your second or third draft code you've won from us. Hopefully by now you've learned how to draft even better, and this one you'll be able to really crush them.
Actually, this one responds to Guerre. Hopefully you get a draft like Guerre did. So last night, I thought I was going to be able to do something really fun on stream. I thought I was going to rock a 7 Dimension Daisies mill deck on draft. I had 7 of them in deck. I had 18 shards. I thought I flood almost all the time in draft. This should take advantage of what Kismet normally does to me. And the first person I come up against, Guerre. I'm like, okay, this is going to be rough, but maybe I'll get lucky. The first game, he owns my face, but that I was an actual mill, I don't think it fully set in yet. So I'm pulling the cards I need to start getting everything rolling on game 2, and then he drops right into my face a Master Moss. He then replicates, he uses the Mimeobot to create a replica of the Master Moss while it was still in his hand, and then the following turn played the replica of the Master Moss.
Oh,
and
God.
Just before he
This
beat
guy.
me, he plays a Killipede.
that max disrespect.
Brad,
Oh, this guy.
Brad.
That's pretty good.
In draft, I'm facing Master Moss and Killipede.
And
with
replica
7
Moss.
Dementia Daisies and a prayer, and my prayers were not answered that game. So, SG Chan, I pray that you draft like Guerre.
No, that was pretty good. And I mean, those, not only did he do pretty well, I'm sure, in that draft, but those cards are worth a pretty penny. So he
didn't
opened
end
well.
up winning.
But anyways,
He faced a great opponent later on, but he didn't end up winning. Salt.
let's get back to the chat real quick though. Oh,
Draft, as long as the guy that beats me wins the whole thing.
yeah, I'm the same way.
Sure, you knocked me out for no reason. I would have won if you had beat me.
Right, max salt. I that's what happened to me in the Hex Text. Aladamiri beat me round 1 and then went on to go in the top 8 pretty handily. I think he was undefeated up until the very final round of Swiss. I can't remember how he did in the finals. I didn't look at how top 8 went. But moving on, back to chat. We were saying Wraith was echoing the comments about the sellsword equipment, that it seemed like a lot of fun, especially with Call of Grave. And Zophie was saying that they didn't get to play with many equipment, but they still had quite a bit of fun on the test server. Then let's see, going to PTG Mock saying Bracers of Brutality are pretty cool and Battleborn boots are pretty amazing, but then he didn't say what they were, but as I scroll down, hopefully they will have said so. Yeah, he just goes on to keep naming off a bunch of things without saying what they did. The Bracers... Okay, continues going. The Battleborn boots make living totems give their buffs to all troops for the duration of the turn, which was pretty good. Cool. I saw that one, and I didn't get it, but that one looked pretty good.
That one was bugged the last time I managed to get it, but it was bugged. It was wearing off on itself too.
Huh. Yeah.
Like it was giving it to all troops, but only for the turn, and then it lost it as well.
Yeah.
But there's another one for living totem has like scary good equipment.
Yeah.
If you have both, it's really nasty. But the first one gives it to all your troops for the turn. The second one gives every buff to all of your living totems in all zones.
Yeah, I saw that one too. That gets pretty ridiculous.
Like as if living totem is not already good enough. Like that card is just scary if you build a deck around it with the equipment.
Yeah, those situations where you have the living totem up, and then like you draw another one, you don't really want to play it because you're just going to keep investing on the first one, and the second one's never going to get any bigger. This kind of solves that whole problem. It's like, well, now you have two enormous troops on board, and you're in good shape.
All right, so I realized, because the test server is back open, there's a way that you can look up all equipment. And so now that I figured that out, so the Battleborn boots, yeah, your living totem's powers affect all other troops you control this turn. That's legendary boots. And then it also has the head one. All your living totems in all zones are affected by the activation of this power.
Yeah, that's what we were just saying.
Yep. And it's really great that, it's not as though they're like, this is your first tier of boots and this is your second tier of boots. This goes, you really love living totem, you get to wear both. Have a good day.
Living totem is now a god card. Have fun.
Now, that said, the headpiece, the Helm of Many Faces, is the common equipment.
Yeah.
And it modifies them all simultaneously. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Because would replicas named Living Totem, would those get it too?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yep, I can definitely confirm that because it goes by the name.
Yeah.
Like if you like I was doing my Drainspot deck, and if you replicate a Renlock, when you play one action, they both get buffed up. Like the replicas are treated exactly the same as a normal one for the purposes of the equipment.
What else? I mean, that enables some bonker stuff. We had another one that PTG Mock was saying in here, which was one that I found pretty interesting, was the inner conflict equipment, where each turn the troop that has inner conflict on it has a chance to battle one of that player's troops. So if I inner conflict one of your two living totems, it has a chance to battle the other living totem at any given point. And I think it even has a chance to battle itself, if I'm not mistaken, because it's not just a random other troop. And
so it says, it does not say another troop you control. It just says a random troop you control. So they can battle themselves and die, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it can be stop hitting yourself deck. Yeah, exactly.
So that would be, it's called the Scepter of Nightmares weapon. So it hits a weapon slot.
Yeah. And
your inner conflicts have target troop gets at the start of your turn. There is a 50% chance that this battles a random troop you control.
Alrighty. I didn't want to. Yeah. Okay. There we go. But that was all the chat check-in. We ready to do the crackback and giveaway for that one?
Yeah, let's crack
all
that
right.
back.
So let me bring up the screen for that, and we're just about done for the day. We will go ahead and roll. This is for the crackback. Whoever wins this one is going to get the rare from the pack that we open, or legendary, if today is your lucky day. Although our track record for opening legendaries is currently 0, I think, in all of our episodes. So maybe today we'll break that record. The winner to this time, though, is going to be Megagers. Congratulations on winning the crackback. you're going to need to send me a Twitch message, and SG-Chan, just send me a reminder. I know I probably have your in-game name in there, but just, a reminder doesn't hurt on Twitch. Anyways, send me a Twitch message with what your in-game name is, and I will send you the rare. And here we go.
Congrats, Mega Eggers.
I love that name. I'm sorry. When you break it down, Mega Eggers, that's amazing.
Mega Eggers.
Mega Eggers, there we go.
Mega Eggers.
All right, and there he is. Mega Eggers is in there in chat right now. So I will actually open the correct pack this week. Here we go. We got the Shattered Destiny pack going, and let's see what it contains.
Boom, boom,
Oh, looks like
boom.
once again not a legendary.
Oz, you're supposed to bring us your good luck. You're supposed to spend all of your good luck here so that you
What
don't
good
get
luck?
He
any
did.
legendaries
You
and
already spent it.
drafts.
All right, so your rare that you get is Bucktooth Roshi. He's a fun one. Other Shinhair you control get +2/+2. So if you're running that Shinhair deck, this guy becomes pretty good. He's fun in that Eulogy deck that Mokog was running earlier that I quickly stumped and nobody got to see. But that's not the point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I get for
Also-
keeping a terrible hand.
Since we're talking about the arena tonight, his equipment is also lots of fun. You get advantage from him even if your opponent kills him off, because when he dies, your other Shinhair gets +2/+2 permanently.
And I think, isn't there maybe another equipment that gives him Crush? I may have missed Shinhair, Bucktooth, Roshi.
I'm not
So,
sure if
there's
that's
a,
not removed or if there's a second one.
Yeah,
So
a lot of
maybe
these
it
equipment
gets
are
removed
subject
or
to get changed.
or
Yeah.
like we were talking about earlier, because it's
Yeah.
test. Nothing's final until they actually release it. So some of the equipment has changed along the way. Maybe there's two now. Maybe they took that other one away. Maybe it'll come back later. I don't know.
But yeah.
It's a fun card regardless.
Yeah, so at the moment, just while we have it, so it's PvE equipment on the test server right now. It has feet and chest. The feet is the +2/+2 when they die, and then the chest is other Shinhair you control have Crush.
There you go. So they do have both. Okay, neat.
So this guy, pretty cool, and he's a lot of fun. Let's look at the rest of the pack, and we will each pick what our pick was for the draft. We'll try to go a little bit quicker than we usually do because we're starting to go to time. Mokog and I won't ramble quite as much about this particular pack. But Ossuary and Mokog, if this was your first pack in a draft, what would be the card you would be taking? Ossuary first, since you're the guest of the day.
The guest of honor. Okay. We always do this pretending the legendary or the rare is already gone. So, like, I always talk about what's in the rest of the pack. Looking at this pack, I would probably snap up the Sea Priest right off the bat.
Okay.
I love Exalted Victory. I love that card. It wins games all the time.
Yeah.
But it's also... you're also committing yourself to something way too early if that's the first card you take. So in this pack, I would take the Sea Priest and hope that lots more humans come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on Victory. I've had personally, I've had a hard time pulling it off. Like, I recognize its power, and just sometimes, like, you kind of usually have to have like 3 dudes on board to really make it work. Even having one is okay, but you kind of want to have more on there to get your mileage out of it. And just a lot of the games, I end up making trades really early on, so it doesn't really favor my style of play quite as much.
Right.
But,
yeah, the thing about Exalted Victory is that in those games where it's not a complete blowout, you end up in a stalemate board where nobody has a clear advantage.
yeah.
Once you pull Exalted Victory, the game is essentially over.
Yeah, definitely.
You get a free attack, your opponent has to block everything or just die, and they lose their whole board. Like, if it doesn't just win the game right there and then, it basically irrevocably changes the board back in your favor.
Totally. How about you, Mokog?
I like Exalted Victory, but I see a Rekisaurus over there, and he's got my name on it.
Yeah, I'm not big on the Rekisaurus. I know there's a few folks out there who really like the Rekisaurus, pick them really highly and want and everything.
Well, it's one of those where, I mean, if I'm taking a look, I'd probably actually would pull the Roshi here because Shinhair don't always get played in a lot of my drafts.
Yeah.
And I know I could snap up some really good Shinhair. But running by Oss's rules, pretending that the rare's not there, The next things that I would see would probably be the Crackling Sprout and the Rekisaurus for me personally, because the Sea Priest dies, and it dies pretty well, especially to a lot of the Cracklings, a lot of the removal that exists in the set. And I'm not super excited by anything other than the Rekisaurus, the Crackling Sprout, and the Charge-Hulk.
Sure, I'm with you.
Charge-Hulk may come back around, but
I like
Rekisaurus
Charge-Hulk
and the
with
Crackling
Farney.
Sprout, those are the ones that excite me in this part of the pack.
Yeah, I really like Charge-Hulk with Farney. That's like, that's my dream all the time. But Rekisaurus, yeah, I mean, I get that. The nice thing is he's a big body, he swings for a lot, and he basically always trades. Like, you very rarely end up getting like 2 for 1 when you're using him and everything. It works out pretty well for you. And I mean, obviously, if he's swinging with a bunch of guys that you have Fazuko buffed, they're going to swing in for crush damage. You're going to be in good shape. I think my pick is, like, if we're counting the whole pack, I think the Roshi is the pick here for me, just because it's pretty easy to grab Surprise Runt Gang somewhere along the lines. Like, they don't go that highly, and if once you're starting to get those and some other cards going, he's going to be pretty good. Like, the restriction is that, like, Tunneling 4, he's not going to come out for a while, so it's going to take a little bit to get going. And then at 7 cost, like, you actually just might draw him late game and play him, and that's totally fine. But I'm pretty okay with him. Other guys getting +2/+2. Maybe he's not really the best pick. I mean, because it's not that big, much better than like a Bucktooth Commander. And how often are you going to pick that highly?
Well, so the thought about the Roshi is that the Roshi's high cost is the incentive to use the tunnel and short game troops. But the other reason is that you want to turn to tunnel that Roshi so that you can board develop by the time he comes out.
No, of course.
So draft-wise, that +2/+2 is a lot more meaningful than what we'll see in Constructed. PvE-wise, once you toss this equipment on there, he is amazing, giving you +4/+4 and then crush. Because he essentially then comes out with the equivalent of I am a 3/3 onslaught.
Even with the Roshi in there, I think I might still go with Os and take the Sea Priest in some cases. I mean, I think Roshi's probably the pick if you're including him in there. Otherwise, I think I'm with Os there on the Sea Priest. I really like playing humans, and Sea Priest is like really good. It performs well for me.
You don't have to go humans. There's a lot of great decks you can do with Diamond in it.
Totally.
You're not committing yourself to humans. If you take the Exalted, you kind of have to do humans, and that can be dangerous going into it first pack before you see what's in the other packs and what people are passing. Same thing with Roshi. You could try to go bunnies right off the bat, and if you were Lila, you totally would go bunnies right off the bat and be like, "Yay, I'm playing bunnies," like I wasn't going to anyway. But with the Sea Priest, you can take it and
you're gonna play it no matter what in most cases.
You don't have to go humans at that point. And frankly, a lot of people are sick of playing Tri-Chart humans at this point.
Oh, I never get sick of it. I love them.
That way because there's nothing else. But man, am I sick of Tri-Chart humans?
I will say though, I'm all about Farney. Having like the Recovery Specialist, Recovery Hulk, and Spambot in here, like those are some of the cards I really like playing with. But yeah, Sea Priest is probably my pick. I like Sea Priest, and it's like like you're saying, it can go in more than just humans. It's pretty flexible and it's pretty powerful. But that's our pack. As far as flavor draft goes, you were in with our actual flavor draft stream, weren't you, Ross?
I was, yeah. That was fun. We told a story about the robot, the humans invading the.
It's like an Indiana Jones story, kind of.
Indiana Jones story. That was a good time.
So if we were doing a flavor draft with this pack, what's your flavor draft pick?
I think we had a Sea Priest in that pack as well, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I seem to recall that we took the Sea Priest and he was the old man telling the story.
Yeah, in that one, definitely.
I really like that. I really like, I love the whole story within a story thing. I'm one of those weird kids that actually read the actual 1001 Arabian Nights book cover to cover when I was a kid. That's a hard read.
Yeah.
There's a point in that book where you are 5 stories deep.
Wow.
It's like a guy telling a story about a guy who met someone and told him a story about this guy he met who told him a story, and then they found a genie who told them a story about this story.
Story of Inception.
Yeah, exactly.
Storyception.
Inception is way older than you thought it was, it's Arabian Nights, like it's not an original idea. But I love the idea of taking the old man in the sea
Uh-huh.
who's telling the story to somebody else. So that would be my pick.
He's
for
even got
flavor
that.
as well.
He's even got that look on his face. He's like, you know what? We were about to go do something else, but why don't you sit down? Because I have a story to tell you. And then, 10 hours later, everybody around him has fallen asleep or something.
He's
Yeah.
looking off like he's gathering his thoughts and he's about to speak. Right?
Yep. Totally.
I totally bet that's someone's vanity card.
So, oh yeah, it's gotta be. What's your flavor draft pick here, Moko?
You know what? I think I want to go a little different, and I
Mhm.
think I want to go with a dramatic tragedy. I want to go with Born to Die.
Yeah, I was kind of like Born to Die does have flavor draft written all over it, and it, well, yeah, like it does definitely have a lot of flavor draft potential. I think that would have been my pick had you not said it. Maybe my flavor draft pick then, since I'll take the dregs, is the Flax Scrapper, and I'm just gonna take like a bunch of dwarves and birds, and the dwarves hate the birds, kind of thing. Like it looks like he's just shooting birds out of the sky. So I think I'm gonna try to go somewhere along those lines. Oh, what a pretty kitty!
This is Annie. Hi,
Oh,
Annie.
what a
Pretty
good
white kitty.
But yeah, so those are our flavor draft picks, and congratulations to Mega Eggers on the Bucktooth Roshi. If you okay, and you sent me a message, sweet, with your in-game name, I will send the Roshi to you after the stream is over. We still have we still have one giveaway to do.
Yes, we have the Gore deck remaining.
So why don't we knock that out? And meanwhile, we'll give people one last chance here to enter. And while we're doing that, we can do our shameless plugs.
Shameless plugs.
Yeah. Why don't we do ours first, and then we can end with what final words Ossuary might have to say on what he might plug, if anything.
All right, so for those who may be new to Hex and maybe new to the stream, if you seem interested in the game, you want to give it a try, go ahead and visit the main page at HexTCG.com. From there, you can sign up for the beta, get an account created, get into there. They'll give you a free starter. You can just hit the ground running and go from there. They've evolved the new player experience, and it's much better than when we first hit into beta. And as soon as we get the arena that drops, the new player and the single player AI experience is going to be much more robust than it currently is. So if you're brand new to it, now's not a bad time to get in. Better sooner than later on that. But in addition, you'll also want to keep up with all of the wonderful lines of communication. You can, if you're a Kickstarter backer, remember that they communicate every week, the Friday update on Kickstarter. In addition to that, we get at least one update every week. Sometimes we get two updates, a Wednesday and a Friday. Follow HexTCG on Twitter and Facebook. And from there, you can also find people who work on the game. For instance, you can go find Corey Jones on Facebook and find out exactly how Girl Scout cookies are going. Just fun little things. I mean, the developers of the game are much more accessible than I would say you'd be able to find most other developers to be accessible.
Definitely.
And then in addition to that, if you happen to like this type of content and you want to see more of it, go ahead and make sure that you follow Function and myself on Twitter, our Twitch, as well as our YouTube. You can get to our Twitch through our names. So that's at Funktionfails and at HexHunter Mokog. You can get to our YouTube channels as well. Be sure that you also visit the 5-Shard site where you can find some of our written and video content, as well as a plethora of other Hex content. And that's about where we're at on most of our shameless plugs. I mean, I could shamelessly plug my video again, but I'm kind of happy on how it's doing right now for not having really produced a video in a month. So
Yeah, it was a good video. I would say go check out Mokog's video if you haven't already. He's got some good commentary on just interesting stuff about how lore could be pulled off and storytelling in general could be pulled off in the arena and made it really fun. I like it.
shameless plug.
Also, I'm going to try to be streaming on Tuesdays from now on. I'm not sure what time it is, but my thing is, like, I haven't streamed or done videos in a long, long time, way longer than I should have, because I'm a slacker, and I just need to set aside, like, a certain time window. This is when I'm going to do it, and then I actually will. That's my problem for myself. But I would also plug something, but I'm guessing there's a chance that Ossuary might also have bug wrangling tips to plug as well. So I don't want to preempt him on that one.
I got nothing else, man. Don't take it away from me.
Yeah. So Ossuary, let's educate these folks. What do you have to say?
Okay, so I don't really have my own corner of the internet. I don't do streaming myself. I don't produce YouTube videos or anything. I'm just kind of generally around the place. Like I said, I've got, God, what is it now? Almost 6,200 posts on the forums, maybe even more. It's a lot. It's a lot. But so for those of you who haven't heard about it yet, Function and I have both been made volunteer bug wranglers for Cryptozoic. So what that means is that we're in charge of the bug forums, or not in charge of, but are helping with the bug forums to kind of clean them up and make them a little more organized. So it's easier for you guys to use them and find existing issues and report new problems, and it's easier for the devs to find stuff that they need to look at. So I'm posting a link in chat to a message I made earlier last week about the changes that we're going to be making to the bug forums. So if you haven't read that yet, I just would ask you guys to have a quick look at it and kind of see what Function and I are working on and how things are going to be going with the bug forums in the near future.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for me. You know, I'm just kind of hanging around, being the Hex guy.
Well, it was great having you on the show today.
One of these days I'll come on Hexperty and finally defeat Chill.
Oh, that sounds like a challenge. Yeah, somebody needs to make it happen.
Only someone who has 6,000 posts, only someone who has read it, only someone who's gone into the bugs will have the knowledge.
Well, I don't know. Then why didn't Guer beat him?
Yeah.
Guer is good, but Guer is so much more concerned about beating people into a sense that's
No, he got baited by that awesome buzzer he had. I don't know if you guys watched it, but he had like that chicken buzzer, and he was playing it beforehand to see if it worked. He wanted me to hop in there, and I heard, and I just asked him to keep playing it because it was hilarious. But unfortunately, it also had like a delay on it. That was his downfall. Yeah. But the chicken buzzer was too good. But yeah, you should get on Hexperty and crush that Pentachills. I'm almost convinced there's a conspiracy going on between Zubrin and Pentachills, that it's like, you know, there was a game show back in the day, and I know people got in a lot of trouble for it, and I can't remember the name of it, and it was like, it was rigged to have one person win like 20 times in a row just to boost ratings. And I feel like that's what they're doing. They're just, you know, they really care about the game. They want to hype it up. So they're kind of setting Penta up to be the undefeatable champ, just to boost their ratings and get everybody excited about the game. That's what's going on.
Now, Function, I know you and I were a part of the same game. Penta is very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But that said, he's not unbeatable. The rest of us are just terrible.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you gotta get in there, Ross, and show them how it's done.
Get in there, study up, read every card, read every flavor text, read every little bit of the lore. Like, I'll be honest, I focus on things, and then I learn something like really, really close down to what I want to know about it, and then I move on. And since I'm one of those adults who happens to attempt to carry on some form of a professional life for what it's worth, I can't focus on it as much as I want. But I tell you what, I am also working on getting to stream more, and that's going to make me better at it.
Yeah.
When I'm better at it, then I'll challenge Penta again. I will take his crown from him, and I will shatter it to the entire stream so that they all have souvenirs.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and have the raffle.
Reckoning.
Let's go ahead and see who wins this Goremaster deck we were talking about. It's going to be the deck that, it's not the one that's quite shown here. I think there's 1 or 2 changes with either shards, or I think the Rage Fires are added in. It's the deck list that I posted up on 5 Shards on the budget beatdown. We were just trying to promote that a little bit, and I figured this is a fun way to do it. It's a fun deck that you can use in the arena. It was doing really well. Those boulder tosses on Goremasters beat those opponents pretty quickly. And but
actually,
before,
you're definitely right. The Goremaster deck is very good at grinding arena. Very, very good at grinding arena.
See, Ebenfeld knows what's up. But yeah, this deck was pretty good at grinding arena. And I would just echo what Oz said. Read that post, because he outlined it really well on there. That's what we're trying to do. people don't. The other thing I would say on the bug reports is don't be afraid to submit reports if somebody has already submitted it. Like, don't be over concerned. If you think maybe it's out there or something, but you couldn't find it and you're not sure if it's already been submitted, just submit it. Because either there's only two possible outcomes in that. It's either A, it wasn't submitted already, and awesome, we just got another bug report, or B, it was already submitted and we can just merge the threads together. No big deal. So
I mean, check the known issues first, because it just takes, I mean, that's the whole
Yeah.
point. It just takes a second to look at the list, or even to search for the name of the card, because we're putting the actual card name right in the thread now. But yeah, search first. If you don't see it, you know, if you look for 5 seconds, you don't see it, please submit it. We'd rather have an extra report than miss out on something that we could have stopped.
yeah. So, but yeah, check out the thread because it's good times. And in that sense, speaking of good times, let's see who's going to be having good times with this deck. We're going to go ahead and roll it up. Here we go. Congratulations to Private TVs or Private TVS.
Pirate? No?
Are you sure it's not Pirate TVS?
I say Pirate TVs. He's got multiple
Pirate
televisions,
Yeah.
and he's watching pirate-based shows on the televisions all at once. So it's plural TVs. It might be Private TVS. That's probably what it really is. All right, but congratulations. And he is right here in chat. So you, okay, in this case, because the nature of this giveaway, it's going to take me a little bit to send it because I have to put every card in the mail. That was the one thing Mokog was commenting on. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is going to be a little bit awkward. It's going to take me a little bit of time. I'll probably have it to you, maybe not tonight, but within the next day. So I'll send that on over. Make sure to send me a Twitch message with your in-game name, and that way I can send it to you. I hope you enjoy the deck, and I hope you're looking forward to Arena and it serves you well because this was a fun one to play. But yeah, congratulations, awesome. But yeah, be sure to send me the Twitch message with your in-game name and good times. The last person who enters the giveaway wins. Yeah, that's what happened with Ossuary. That's not what happened with SG-Chan or with who was our third winner. I don't think that it happened with them either, did it?
So
Mega Eggers? Yeah.
our third winner was Mega Eggers. Our second winner was SG Chan. Our first winner was Ossuary.
Yeah.
then,
he slipped me a $5 bill underneath the table while you weren't looking. So I mean, what could I do?
Now I don't know about you, but a draft can be far worth more than just 500 platinum. So.
Lucky.
Yeah, he's lucky. If he's square, apparently.
In my case, I'll get 230 flat rares, and then shrewd manipulation from pack one, set one.
Hey, one day shrewd manipulation is going to break and it's going to be crazy.
Oh, it's already broken. I was the first one to make an infinite combo deck.
To finalize any question or doubt, Zekal actually did enter after Pirate. So there you go. Wait. Oh, I scrolled down. That's why I wasn't showing it up there. All right, but there we go. We got it back. Yeah, I forgot I was doing the weird screen region stuff. But yeah, congratulations, Pirate. Send me the message and we'll get that out there. But I think that is just about it for today's show. I don't think we forgot anything. And
all right, let's make sure that we didn't forget anything. This is why we have written notes.
The one thing I would for sure say though, for before we would leave, I was just going to say thanks to Ossuary for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. We enjoy having guests. We actually set out to
outro music. We're gonna do a little room
Hey,
or something.
we have a guest who's willing to dance when I dance. I am okay with this.
Hey, I'll allow it. But yeah, and Mokog, do you have a sweet outro for us, or no? That's just the intros, right?
No
No.
outro, no catchphrase. What is this?
Yeah.
Hey, I will never have a catchphrase. Even if it ever sounds like a catchphrase, I will break it so it's not a catchphrase.
Actually, I think you just used your catchphrase. Even having the pencil there, that hey, I will never have a catchphrase. Like that could have been the outro. We just wasted it. I think we should have almost ended it right there, but we weren't quite ready to. But no, I think
right.
I think
I think I've got something.
Okay.
Are we ready? Are we
Yeah.
actually going to end on this?
Yeah. You ready to say goodnight, Mokog?
I'm ready to say goodnight. Did you have a good night, Os?
I did.
Did
Good
you have
night,
a good night
everyone.
function?
Yeah, I did.
All right. From the
I'm waiting.
beginning, we came from the feral root woods. We conquered the elves. We conquered the shinhair. We slaughtered the coyote. Underneath our heel, the necrotic have risen, and we bring a close to this general's tent. For though they may have fallen tonight, they will rise again next Wednesday evening.
That sounded really morbid.
Dun, dun, dun.
That was like. That was pretty
Hey,
brutal.
you know what? I tried to loop in the first one, and I wanted to bring in some of the others, and the necrotic are the only ones who seem to be that freaking crazy.
What was I gonna say? I don't have a message yet from you, Private TVS. Here, test. You should be sending it to Funktionfails. So just make sure you're right-clicking my name and send it on over there. And then that'll
And be
be
sure
all
you're
good.
looking in the right spot too. Sometimes Twitch is a bit weird on messaging.
Yeah, so you can just right-click on my name. You'll be all set. But anyways, do you have a catchphrase, Os?
No.
All right. I was just making sure. I didn't want to, Mokog doesn't have a catchphrase, and if you had one, you're like, hey, I'm going to one-up Mokog, and I just didn't allow you to have your chance. I would have felt really bad.
I have a greeting. I don't have an outro.
Okay.
I never actually did it.
Well, you could, it could be...
Apparently we robbed you.
Mokog!
Awesome.
That was pretty good. I liked it. We should have started on that. That was good. All right, and I actually do have a catchphrase, so I'll say less pill, more function. Until next week, guys. You have a nice week. Have a good time. We'll see you next week on the General's Tent, Wednesday afternoon, 4:30 Pacific.
Adios.
Adios. General's tent lore. General's tent lore.
I'm not going to turn it off. I'm just going to let it keep going.
Tent lore. Dancing on the stream. 44 people watching. Making a fool out of myself. Thanks for watching. Be sure you click that like and subscribe button to help support the channel. Also, leave a comment below. Your thoughts and suggestions are always welcome. If you'd like to check out some of additional content, we have a couple links to videos below, as well as a link to our Twitch channel where we'll do a giveaway every time we do a stream for Hex. We can give away everything from cards to packs to gold. All sorts of things can be done on the Twitch channel. Also, I really like to thank you for making it to the end of the video. Not everyone watches to the end. It really matters for how the channel operates, and every second that you're here watching provides support. Thank you for giving me your time and energies. And as always, I'm Mokog, and this is HexHunter.